Greetings on time, crew. We're going to give the rest of the crew another minute or two to trickle in before we get things started. But welcome to many of you, and it's nice to see so many friends, colleagues, staff, people I don't know on today. Gina, it's been a while. It's nice to see you again. Adam, we always appreciate you taking the time to join these sessions. As somebody who's if you're not a longest tenured faculty, you must be very close to the top of that leaderboard. So thank you for everything that you do. I see my predecessor as board chair, Scott Pace, on the line. Good to see you. We'll give it another minute and then we'll kick things off. It's always a tension between rewarding me on time and trying to bring everybody along, but I usually view 2 minutes as the period of grace, and then we'll get going. All right, we're at 8:02. We'll kick things off. My name is Mike McKay. I have the pleasure and honor of being the chair of the SSP International Board. And I'm going to kick things off a little bit tonight, just talking about what we're doing as a board. And I get to serve as effectively the opening act for Frank Steslow and a number of our team who will talk about what you probably are most interested about, which is all the great stuff that we're doing across 17 campuses in 14 states with 580 participants last year, and our plans for the upcoming year. So thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us tonight. And I do want to, I did a little bit before we got things kicked off, but I always love these sessions as a chance to see at least and reconnect with people I've served with on the board over my 20 years on the board. To see a number of our faculty, like Professor Tepson and Adam Rexdorf and others, people who are very, very long-time alumni, and people who have just gone through SSP this past summer. And I know from the range of the people who signed up to join us tonight, we have all of that and anywhere in between, plus a number of their friends, parents. It's a broadcast, and we really appreciate your joining us and your ongoing interest in everything that we're trying to do to keep SSP alive in year 66, I think it is, and counting, something like that, in that range, though. Can we go to the next page on the slide? Board of Directors update. We can go on. So we have a board of directors that works to provide governance, for lack of a better word, to our operating and full-time staff. I will say, as somebody who's been on the board for over 20 years at this point, the role of the board has changed immensely from the early days when literally we had one full-time staff, Richard Bowden, who was our executive director for many years. And there was a lot of like, okay, I as treasurer for many years wrote checks and posted them off to employees because that we needed people to do that. We've outgrown the need for the board to be doing things like that, but there are two things that we haven't outgrown. One is all of the volunteer work that many of you continue to provide to help with admissions, help with financial aid, help with our Connect program, which we'll talk a little bit more, to provide peer-to-peer mentoring for our new graduating participants. And the work of the board and I put all the pictures of the board, and I know a lot of you have taken the time to join today, and I appreciate that, is to try to help make sure that we stay on course as an organization and that everything is done as it ought to be done, and that we're going in the right direction and working collaboratively to support the staff with our expertise in some respects. Certainly, our financial support. Everyone on the board is a financial supporter to SSP. That's an important part that we all have agreed that we need to set the example for the organization, and we do, and we do it happily. And part of what's fun about this crew is everybody shares the same mission and passion for SSP and having it be great. We all contribute in different ways because we all come from a broad range of backgrounds and have a broad range of experiences and expertise. And part of what we continue to try to do as a board is make sure that as we have grown as an organization, that we have the right range of experiences on the board. And I'll talk on the next slide to some of the new board members who will be joining the board next year. But the part that has stayed constant, and it's not part of why I'm still here as long as I have been, is it really is a fun and collaborative crew. There's a lot of mutual respect. We listen to each other. We will engage in debate on things that we don't necessarily fully agree and align on. But everybody respects everybody else's opinion. Everybody else listens. And at the end of the day, I think we consistently, because we are all grounded in wanting SSB to be as good as it can be, our hearts are in the right place and we get to the right thing. So that's what I want to at least give you my perspective, and I'm proud of that. I do want to recognize two of our board members are going to be retiring at the end of the year, Michelle Chang and my predecessor as board chair, Ron Irving. Between the two of them, they have contributed nearly 20 years of service to SSP's board. I have enjoyed immensely having them as colleagues on the board. We will miss them on the board. They both assure me they will continue to support us as volunteers, and not as active board members, but in supporting our external affairs committee, our educational advisory committee, and we appreciate their ongoing commitment to the organization. I do want to introduce our 4 new board members who will be joining the board next year. Actually, we'll get to the committee slide, please. I get asked a lot, like, what does the board really do? Let's go back to the one slide, please. I'm sorry. There we go. Most of the board's work is in 4 committees: finance, which includes audit and investments. That needs a certain kinds of expertise to be able to help with budgeting, overseeing the audit, which is an important part of what we need to do from a governance perspective. Secondly, we overview and approve and help set for senior officers the compensation of the employees of the organization. So the compensation policy, our HR policies, are they consistent with what we think reflects our values, building a diverse staff and a fairly compensated staff. Nomination and governance, there's a lot of bylaws and stuff required to oversee our organization. And we have to identify and nominate and vet and then ultimately approve new board members who fulfill things we need, which is usually a mix of particularly skills and expertise that we feel would augment and bring new skills to the board. And additionally, help sit on the committees that we need them to sit on and share our passion and share our mission. And then lastly, external affairs, which involves a lot of alumni outreach and helping to support all the activities that, like tonight's event, and Carl Sun, who chairs that committee, is going to be talking a little bit later to talk about the types of things that we are doing and want to continue to do to engage and interact and share with you and have you continue to be part of a really, really cool community. So we do have 4 board members joining the board. Next slide, please. And I just want to introduce them briefly. Frank Roberto is the proud father of an SSP 24 participant and is recently retired chief financial officer of a large publicly traded company. Frank is going to be a great addition to our finance and audit team on the board committee to help put together our budget, oversee our audit, and we really welcome his excitement and passion as a proud parent to SSP and alignment with our vision and mission and help with the money stuff, which we always need. Sharon Rector, also a proud parent of an SSP 24 alum. Sharon is an entrepreneur who has built a very successful social media business. She has 25 million followers. I just can't, it's kind of a mind-blowing thing to me. But part of what we have been trying to do and are doing as part of our connectedness in the modern world is build our social media presence and connection with our alums, and especially recognizing that we have 580 something new alums this year. We will, over the next 5 years, create as many alums as we created in the first 60 years of SSP. And they're online and they're on social media. And if we want to connect and engage with them and have them be part of our community, we got to meet them where they are and engage with them the way they want to be engaged. And so somebody with Sharon's expertise is going to be super helpful as an advisor to our external affairs team to help with that. So we're delighted to welcome her to the board. Scott Chaplin. Scott comes from a venture capital investments background and is somebody who has spent a lot of time understanding how to build organizations, how to compensate and incent organizations, and what it takes to remain compliant as you do all of those things. So those are going to be very valuable expertise to bring to our HR and Comp committee and also to our finance committee. And we're delighted to have Scott, who's been a long time associate and friend of our vice chair, Phil Nolan, class of 76. And so he comes vetted and somebody who is going to step right in and really help us with some of the areas that we need help with. Last but not least, Victor Alvarez. Victor is a recent retired lead counsel for a major national law firm. We've been looking for a long time for somebody with a real solid corporate law background to help provide both expertise on the board, advice and counsel on the board, but also connections into specialized expertise that we might need to be able to access given our diverse sets of needs. Victor ran the Southeast and Latin America practices for his former law firm, was also the vice chair of a large nonprofit organization with a scientific mission. And he's very excited to be joining our board. He's very aligned with what we're trying to do. And again, his expertise is a great fit, and we'll be slotting him onto our nominating and governance committee to help with a lot of that kind of stuff that we need help with. So I want to leave you with a sense that we really are being very intentional in thinking about what the organization needs, how we as a board can best support SSP in its ongoing mission, in its ongoing strategy, in its ongoing financial support. And it's a crew that is very committed to everything that we all have grown up with on why SSP is special and unique and wants to continue to help it thrive for the next 60 years and beyond. I think that's it for me. So unless I missed that I have another slide, thankfully no. I'd like to sort of turn things over and introduce, for those of you who haven't met, Frank Steslow. Frank has been running SSP since taking over roughly 3 years ago and has helped build a fantastic team, has helped build SSP to serve a quantum number of more people than when most of us attended the program. And I'm going to turn the rest of the agenda over to him to talk about the types of things that we're doing, how it's working, and what our priorities are for the upcoming year. Frank.
Thank you, Mike. Good evening, everyone. It's great to see everyone. Thank you again for coming out, for continuing to invested and interested in SSP. It's uh, it's a fantastic organization. As Mike said, I've been here 3 years, and um, the board, the staff, the participants, the faculty for our summer program, it's just been an awesome experience for me. So I'm appreciative of that. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. What I wanted to do is just we prepared some slides that are really kind of a top level summary of the 2025 year, where we think we're going to go in 26, talk a little bit about the alumni aspect, alum relations, and we want to leave plenty of time for questions. So we'll go through this. Just sort of a little bit of background for some of you that may be new to the organization, but give you a snapshot of where we were. So next slide. So first, go through some staffing updates. As you all know, Amy Malinar moved on to bigger and better things in and around January of this year, and her position was Chief Academic Officer. We slightly modified the job description to Chief Program Officer, and we have um, onboarded Amy He Kim, who really just started with us full time the beginning of this month. And she's an amazing addition, PhD in chemistry, and she will be leading up all of the program operations, all the research, all the evaluation, and new program development. So we welcome Amy. Next slide. And some of her newer team members, we created a research and evaluation division, which we're going to talk a little bit about, but Roisin Corcoran is the VP of Research and Evaluation. Julie Bacher is our Director of New Program Development, and Eric just came on board as our research scientist. And then outside of programs, in alumni relations and development, we have two new important faces, Sarah and Todd. Both will be taking on various aspects of fundraising and communication strategies, grant writing, and I think you may be hearing more from some of them as we go through the rest of the year. Next. So just talking about some of the highlights, the goal of 25 was really a couple of things. We wanted to continue to scale. We wanted to continue to onboard new academic partners. We wanted to expand geographically. And we wanted to add or continue to add at least to the curriculum offerings that we have. So just this map represents where we were located this year. So you can see the geographic spread from New England to the Pacific Northwest to the Southwest, Southeast. And we launched our first international campus in Canada at the University of Guelph. So 14 campuses is where we operated. 7 of those were brand new to this year. Um, the we now have 5 content areas, cell biology being the one that we piloted this year, synthetic chemistry rolled out last year, and then we still have genomics, biochemistry, and astrophysics. To accomplish all of that, we had to onboard 136 summer faculty and staff, which, as you can imagine, requires interviewing probably 250 possible candidates to get to the number that we needed. It's a huge lift for our staff, and thank you to Mike Manzella, Amy Belote, Laura Corley, everyone that participated in bringing on a really successful summer team and going through the training and the onboarding and rolling out the wonderful programs that we had in 25. The other goal was to launch our first full program evaluation, and you'll be hearing more about this, I think, in the coming months as we receive the results of that evaluation and begin to analyze it. But what we wanted to do was to assess several things. In the past, there had been some assessment looking at social emotional intelligence and growth within the program. But this year, we really wanted to look in addition at academic gains. And so we're excited to have that rolled out. Uh, those results will inform where we go next year with the evaluation and also inform possible changes to the program for the better. Next slide.
I mean, there's a part in all this that we all know how cool and awesome and transformational SSP has been, but being able to like document that in a scientific way has never been something we've been able to do. And that's part of what we're hoping to be able to demonstrate to others, which will be great.
Yeah, it's an important aspect of our external affair efforts with going out to foundations, talking about SSP, talking about everything that we've achieved over the last whatever 60 plus years. Um, but also, as an organization focused on STEM and science, we should be using science to inform where we go and how we operate.
Or if there are things that we can do better, what they are and how we can improve.
So this will become a greater aspect of our operations going forward. This slide is just a reminder of our 10-year goal that's in our strategic plan, which was to reach 10,000 students every year, with half coming from historically underserved communities with engaging, challenging, transformative science experiences. Next. So these are the campuses we operated on. Again, it was a total of 17 programs on 14 campuses, and total number of students was 588. Most of the programs that were not in, all of the programs that were not in pilot phase had 36 participants. Cell biology and synthetic chemistry, we ran at 24. Next year, those will be in full program mode with 36. Next. And just a little bit of a snapshot on our financial aid and some of the goals that we hit this year. So of our 588 participants, 37% were first-gen college aspiring. So our goal is 50, but we made great strides there this year.
Well, and that was in the high teens or maybe 20% 3 years ago. So this has really been a significant amount of progress, even as we've scaled the program to be able to move in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that, our staff admissions team, Amy Belote, Courtney did an amazing job with recruiting this year. But we need to continue to recruit first gen applicants so that we have a large pool to evaluate. 36% received full financial aid. That was, full program fee, travel stipends, and 60% received some form of financial aid, whether it be full or partial. And so that's an important aspect of where we're placing some of the resources that we've been able to receive from the Franklin Antonio estate. And I think it's serving our participants really, really well. Next.
As I recall, the aggregate amount of financial aid that we gave this year was in the $3 million range, which is definitely a record. And the percentage receiving aid is also at a record this year, and honestly above like any Ivy League institution or places like that where we are and the reach that we're getting to provide opportunities to people who, irrespective of need, is been a big part of what we've been able to do as a result of Franklin's gift.
And looking ahead to 26, just to give you a couple of sort of high level ideas of where we're going and where we're developing the budget. So for the summer science program, we want to see a little bit of growth, probably moving to 18 to 20 programs. But part of that is so that we can fully grasp the analysis of the evaluation that we conducted and take this year to wrap into the evaluation and wrap into the program any changes that we want to be able to see and improvements for 26 and beyond. So we'll be expanding the research and evaluation. We'll probably be doing a different kind of study next year. We also are looking at efficiencies across the board and logistics, and really want to prioritize our campus partners where we can have at least two concurrent programs running. Um, and that not only saves on resources, it creates better backup planning for if a faculty member has to step out for some reason. There's just a lot of advantages to having more than one program on a campus. And we want to continue to grow first gen. We want to hit the goal of 50%. I think we have a good chance of making that there in 26. We're also going to be proposing to the board in November a new program initiative. This is something other than the summer science program. We've been talking about this, I think, with this group for well, at least a year, if not longer. And so we'll be going through the details and wrapping this program into the budget, but we're going to be focusing on high school science teachers in this program, which will also be focusing on high school students. And we want to be able to extend the reach. These teachers will then become great advocates for the summer science program. Their classrooms will become really great recruiting tools for summer science program. So we think that this new program, as we roll it out, will have a lot of future payoffs for us.
Well,
And then on the
and ultimately,
go
I
ahead.
think we've acknowledged that the goal of 10,000 participants a year, we've been able and will continue to scale the traditional program, but we're never going to be able to have a 10,000 participant traditional program or series of programs. We're going to have to do something that has more scale and has the ability to reach more people than we're going to be able to 36 at a time. So this is a great way to stay, I think, congruent with our mission and strategy and develop some SSPers as opposed to just take the ones that are already developed.
Yes, absolutely. Um, we're also planning a couple of new initiatives with alum relations and external affairs. So many of you have seen the calendar that we've rolled out with our regional meetups. You're going to hear more about that in the next few slides. But we want more opportunities for alums to engage. We want mentorship opportunities for our participants. So that's going to be a big aspect of where we move things in the next year. As we talked about the research, it's really important that when we receive the outcomes of that research, that we promote that to all of our external partners, stakeholders, and that becomes an important part of our philanthropic efforts going forward, particularly for funders that are outside of the SSP alum network. We're also going to be launching an e-commerce portal. We want to be able to continue the engagement with all of you. This will be an opportunity to purchase SSPI memorabilia,
SSP swag.
swag. We might even have other kinds of science merchandise available. We've digitized, I think, the vast majority of the summer science program archives. And so those can become another aspect of things that we can make available in terms of prints and other things that will be available as we develop that portal. So some exciting things. There's a lot more coming. This is just a highlight of a couple of the items that I wanted you all to be aware of that we're in planning. And I think we'll go on to the next slide. So alumni relations, I'm going to turn this over to Carl Sun and also Kristen to go through our alumni relations. And then I think we'll go into a Q&A and try to leave as much time as we can for that.
Great. Thank you, Frank. Hey, everyone. As Mike mentioned before, my name is Carl Sun. I am not alum, but I am also a proud parent of, a couple of SSP students actually from the summer of 17 and the summer of 24. And, I've seen the difference that SSP has made in my kids' lives and their interest and passion. And, that's how I got involved. And it was great to see the list of people registered for this webinar or this meeting, and great to see a lot of faces there because, as you well know, the strength of it has been the community and the alumni. And so thank you for taking the time on a weekday evening to hear what's going on and to stay engaged and stay involved. And my ask and plea for you is to continue to do that. I know that it's a self-selected group here. I know many of you volunteer in many ways already, um, and I would just ask that you keep doing that and help us in our efforts to engage even more of the community. So, so I chair the External Affairs Committee, which is a relatively new committee. Actually, this was our first year in existence, and so quite frankly, we're still trying to get our feet under us and get organized and work with the staff, the full-time staff to kick off a bunch of efforts. And I would say, our efforts our priorities are really revolve around three different areas. The first, I would say, is sort of building better brand awareness. I think we all know SSP. I think there is a core, but probably relatively narrow set of folks who are aware of SSP and what we have done. And part of that is because of the scale. It's amazing how much we've grown even over just the last 2 or 3 years. Have grown very quickly, but it's not that long ago when we were, one summer cohort of 36 or maybe three summer cohorts of slightly over 100 or something like that. And so SSP has had a wonderful impact, but we're trying to grow that. And commensurate with that, I think we really need to get the message out there. And so that is going to be an effort that we're undertaking, especially as you saw, the strategic plan, the effort to really, impact, you know, we talk about our audacious goal as being reaching 10,000 kids a year, and we talk about a new program that we want to try out and reaching teachers. All of that comes to make that successful. We really need to have more people aware of what SSB does. And I will really say that Frank and team have done a great job of thinking about all the elements that go into how we can better communicate what SSB does. And that's why we have an evaluation committee and a program to talk about what the measurable impact SSB has had and to try to communicate that, because that is very important as we get the message out there. So building sort of awareness and the brand of SSP is important. That's initiative number one. Number two, building more partnerships. And I would say those are institutions and foundations, because we are looking to really step up our impact. And to do that, quite frankly, we need help. We need help in terms of connections, in terms of reach, in terms of access. And we need a lot more help in terms of capital and resources and money. And reaching out and building those right kinds of partnerships is an important goal for us. And of course, if you have connections or are aware of organizations that we should be talking to, please, by all means, forward them to me or to Kristen or to Frank or to any one of the board members. We could really use your help in that effort. And then third, last but certainly not least, as I mentioned, the strength of SSP has been the alumni, and so a lot around alumni and what we can do to better serve our alumni. As Mike mentioned, we are at a place now where we will be graduating over the next couple of years more alumni than we've had in the history of SSP. And so as we do that, we really want to think about how we can keep alumni engaged. It's great to see a lot of you here. I will note that, historically I would say our alumni engagement has been, when people graduate from the program, have gone through the program, people stay connected for a little while, then people get busy, school, career. And so then a lot of the people who come back are maybe further along in their careers. And I think that is great. But I think what we want to do is to keep people connected at all phases. And we're going to talk about some of the programs that I put in place. Some are targeted at the recent alumni, some of the linkage programs to help people as they're thinking about college applications, which is top of mind, of course. But then also for people, throughout that journey of like, what can we do as a community that can help all of the alumni. And quite frankly, that's a way to keep people engaged, enthusiastic about what we're doing and helping to contribute to our mission there. And so with that, maybe let me turn it over to Kristen, who is on the ground doing all of the alumni relations work. So thank you, Kristen.
Yeah, Carl, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kristen Dominguez, the Director of Alumni Relations. I'm so glad to have you all on the call tonight. I'm just going to run through some of our programming that we've accomplished over the last year or two. And we'll get started with College Link. So College Link is formerly known as SSP Connect. It is our structured mentorship program that focuses on newer alumni and the college application process. So what it does is pairs the new alumni with volunteer mentees who happen to be alumni as well. This year was the first year that we introduced TAs, so TAs who helped with the program over the summer were asked to join the party. As you can see, the numbers, this being our 5th year, we've served over 930 mentees with 700 alumni mentors. It's a pretty impressive group of volunteers and excited college applicants. With our one-to-one mentoring, it is primarily focused on the first generation students. So this year we have 101 first generation students paired with mentors. A lot of our mentors actually are first generation students themselves. So it's a really good experience for both of them. We have 280 mentees and 123 mentors participating this year. So as you can see, there's kind of a imbalance there, but we've implemented new small groups to accommodate the growing mentee population, especially with our growth in the program. So we have a 3 to 14. So we have 3 mentors to 14 mentees in groups right now. The groups are focused on intended major, so biochemistry, astrophysics. There's multiple of both of those. They're all matched up in those groups. And so this is our first year, and we're looking forward to the feedback towards the end of the program to see how those go. Additionally, outside of the mentorship, we do virtual events for our mentees. And one of those virtual events is the College Admissions Roundtables. We were super lucky this year to pair with our own Director of Admissions, Courtney Hill, who helped us round up 7 really great colleges that many mentees identified as being interested in. So we had Yale, Princeton, NYU, UCLA, Williams, RIT, and Rice over 2 college roundtables. That was probably the best year yet. So thank you to Courtney for helping us with that. So the program also, it runs September to January. So it's a pretty long program, but it really runs the span of the college application process. And we're hoping that as we get to the January mark, that we will offer some more virtual events. Courtney has offered to do a surviving and thriving the first year of college. And I think it'll be a great transition for the mentees who will be making their selections of what colleges they go to very quickly thereafter. So next I want to mention the SSPI network. If you're not familiar with it, we launched this back in March. This is our new alumni platform where alumni can come in and visit the directory and search based on class year, program, location, even businesses. So if you're looking for somebody in biochemistry, to ask them questions to build up your resume, this is a great source to do that. Additionally, it is really a hub for collaboration and mentorship. So beyond the College Link mentorship, we encourage older alumni to engage with some of the early career alumni as they transition out of college, maybe help them with their resume, internships, research opportunities, etc. The alumni relations team also posts all of their events there, so that's a great place to find all of the upcoming things to attend. We also want to encourage all of the alumni, faculty, and friends. We do have parents, we do have staff on there too, to use it as a forum. So if you're finding interesting information, research, you want to connect with your whole class and want to do it in a large format, please use that as the space to do that. So if you haven't joined, the link is on the screen here. It's also on our website. And you can also always email sspalum@ssp.org and we will help you through the process.
And Kristen, if I may just jump in really briefly there. Yes, please do sign up for be part of the network and encourage others that maybe from your cohort to do so as well. And I think our goal is to make this one that can really help each other. So when you get a ping from maybe one of the new grads or one of the younger alumni, please do answer that. And I know that the people on this call certainly are the ones who would, but like I think that is the goal, to build up a network where we can help each other. And that probably means the more experienced alumni, Mike, helping out the younger ones who are maybe thinking about internships or grad school, or they could just use some advice from someone who's been there before. So sorry, Kristen.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything. Thank you, Carl. Up next is our annual gathering weekend. So what started as a dinner, a networking dinner, has turned into a 3-day affair. So we will be in San Francisco November 14th through the 16th. And we're super excited to have a variety of activities for our alumni. We're really focusing on making the networking the center of all of the events that we're hosting. Sorry, my cat just jumped up on my computer. So this includes various tours. We have a kickoff where anyone who arrives in town on Friday, they can come together. And we'll have a alumni lounge. So the SSPI lounge will be at our hotel, the Marriott Fisherman's Wharf. And that's just a space for you guys to come together. If you don't want to partake in the tours, you can meet up and play some games, reconnect over memories, all of that. The center of the weekend is our awards dinner and fundraiser, and that is the Biochemical Symphony, the music of molecules. And yes, music of molecules, that is an actual science. We've done a lot of research behind it. So what's exciting about that dinner is that you will have interactive stations where you'll get to learn about the molecular music and how it's created. You'll get to make your own music. You will also get to listen to some virus sequences. So, like the COVID virus has a classical tune, and you will get to experience that night. In addition to that, really the heart of the program is the awards. It's the first time we are giving away awards or recognizing the people who have made SSP what it is for the past 66 years. So we will have 3 awards, and more information on those awards will come out soon. We will announce the awardees um, uh, likely at the end of the month. And on Sunday, to wrap it all up, we have a really, really special alumni panel breakfast, which focuses on alumni who went into alternative work beyond STEM. So we're going to ask them how their experience at SSP brought them to where they are today. And as everybody has mentioned, meetups have been sort of the core of our programming. We've been around the country for for 2 years now, visiting various stops. Boston and Los Angeles, they are our 2 really big hubs. We have a high concentration of alumni in the Los Angeles area and in the Boston area, as many of our alums go to school there. So we do try to go there at least once a year or every other year. So this year we've planned meetups for Los Angeles, Denver, Boston, New York, and Washington, D.C. And one of those locations will be the location for next year's annual gathering, which will be announced at the annual gathering weekend in November. Another development in alumni relations is regional groups. As I mentioned, we have concentrations of alumni in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Boston, and oftentimes our alums don't know that they're really close to other alums. So we want to bring those people together on a more regular basis. And to do so, we've developed regional groups. And so we've started with Boston as it is our most active group right now. So we have a group of a committee of volunteer members who will program some events over the course of the year for those who are in the Boston area. They recently had their first event, and it was a welcome study break. It was held at the Boston Common. It had 17 attendees, and really the premise behind it was to welcome all those new college students to Boston and let them know that they had a network of support in the SSP community as they break into a new chapter in their lives.
Well, that wasn't the first event in Boston, because YJ and I were at that one with 60 people bowling at some place near MIT.
Yes, yeah, that was our Boston meetup in March. Yes, and we did have 60 people join us. And like I said, Boston is one of our most represented alumni communities, and it's so special to us. And we hope to make this experience as special to other regions, which is why we are hoping to launch the Bay Area Regional Group in November. We're hoping to make that announcement at the annual gathering. We are polling our Bay Area alumni right now to see about their interest and what they might want to do. So that is underway at present, but we hope to do this in more cities as these 2 groups kick off. So that is it for me. I'll hand it back over to you, Mike, for Q&A.
Thank you, Kristen. I know we have somebody who is designated as the Q&A moderator, but did we receive questions in advance that Or are we just taking them live? I just want to make sure I know the process that
We didn't have any questions in advance, so I think we're taking them live.
awesome. Awesome. If you want to fire into the chat, you can fire into the chat. If you just want to unmute and fire away, let's do that.
Yeah, I have a question.
Richard,
Yeah,
hi. It's great to see you again, Richard.
yeah, good to see you. I'm an old-time SSP alumni, and I give,
No, experienced, Richard. We gotta get the vernacular correct.
yes, I give regular talk in the students each summer, and it's one of my most enjoyable experience every year is to meet up with a student. 2 points. First is in my recent talk to the student, I see a more discrepancy between what they're learning in SSP versus what they're learning in school. This is relative to how I experienced it. When I took SSP, math and physics were way over my head. But for some of these kids today, they already learned a lot of advanced math and physics or before they take the SSP class. So they were complaining that they were too much repetitive work during SSP summer. So I know you're aware of that, but you should think about that one. The second one is I'm on the board of 2 universities. One is I'm an advisory board. In fact, I just came out of a meeting this morning from UC Davis Engineering College. And then I'm on the board of a small university called University of Silicon Valley. And I've been in board meeting all of last week and this week. And one of the key topic is AI, how AI is totally messing up our whole education system. And the question is, what is the SSP position on that? Because it's impacting student enrollment in college currently, as well as student attitude toward education, as well as educator, professors, and people in the school taking polarized position on that topic. But it's an essential part of what kids needs to learn, in my opinion, because I've given many talks on AI in the last 3 years. And I think it's important that SSP pay some attention to it.
Frank?
Oh, I appreciate those comments, Richard. I think Mike Manzella, do you want to speak to some of Richard's comments?
Yeah, I can tackle the AI one. That is a issue, like you said, on all college campuses of how we can responsibly do this. In our Discord this summer, early on, I shared there's a recent article I think out of MIT that shows that your brain actually deteriorates instead of grows as you use AI to replace your own critical thinking. So we haven't made any hardcore decisions towards next summer, but we're contemplating completely removing the encouragement to even not learn how to use that, but use it over the summer simply because critical thinking is such a huge part of the summer. But there was another recent article that I just pulled up about using AI as tutoring. And for some of our kids that are coming in and have more room to grow, that could be a way outside of the faculty in their off time, since you have off time at SSP, right? As a way to really get to help the kids catch up who need to catch up. So it's complicated, and I don't think there's a good answer. But if we're trying to have our kids think deeply, I think relying too much on AI is going to set them behind in that regard.
I think one of the key points you need to, at least from my perspective, being on boards with multiple schools, is that kids needs to be educated as to what AI really is versus what people pretend it can do, so they can use it appropriately. No different than when I was in high school. We got, people showed us this thing called a calculator, right? And we're all using Slido back then. And it changes how we learn, but it was just a tool. It wasn't a replacement for people, right? And I think people need to really learn and be educated properly, not just the student, but the faculty as well, how to use it properly and how to use it effectively. Because there's a misnomer going out there with young people right now through social media where they say, if you learn AI, you won't get a job. But let me know, I can tell you, every company I know they want people who understand what AI is and be able to use it effectively. It's the new sharp pencil. So I think it's important to not ignore it completely, but really encourage integrate it into all discipline, not just math and science and computer, but every discipline. The importance of understanding what AI can do for you and leverage that to your benefit.
I can certainly say, Richard, as somebody who lives in the corporate world, that yes, and yes. And so the balance becomes, how do we use it to allow people to be more productive, but not substitute for actually learning and treating the AI answer as something that's not being critically examined and double checked because it's not always right. And so that's the balance we're going to have to strike on our campuses and in society.
Can I offer a thought
It's
on this?
attention. Please, Steve.
I think if you step back and look at the progression of the mental progression somebody using an AI such as an LLM in research needs to go through to use it, from building a taxonomy of the field they're in, to an interconnected ontology, to a knowledge graph, to an LLM, and to adapting LLMs to use the body of research data that's already available. They're building their own mental model of what the structure of knowledge in their field is. That's not a setback for them or a dependency on the LLM. So there's real value to it in people who are doing research and trying to accelerate the research by adapting LLMs as a tool. Everything they need to do to use it effectively as part of the learning process, they would need to do as a new grad student, for example, to wrap their head around the field they're now in. And so I don't view it as a crutch in that respect. I think it's actually something that forces them into a more effective way of using the learning process they were already going to have to do.
It's a great point. I want to move. We've got some good stuff that's coming in the chat. I'll read Ed Bershinger's question that can we talk about how we've taken the culture and traditions and secret sauce of SSP and ensured that as we've expanded to 17 campuses and new curricula and disciplines in the sciences and added new host sites, how are we making sure that we haven't lost what always made us special? And how is the evaluation process going to help us understand how well objectively we're doing at that?
Well, I'll start the answer, and then maybe Mike or Amy below could jump in as well. But I mean, the culture and the traditions are actually the easy part. And the team does a really great job of maintaining that aspect of the program as we go to new campuses, as we roll out new content areas. The whole purpose of the evaluation and the research is to really delve into what is that secret sauce. We don't know. And so the outcome of that will be a better understanding of what it is that makes the summer science program successful. And also, are there aspects of it that are less than successful that we need to develop additional learning around, or additional training for faculty and staff? So it's going to be incredibly valuable to have that information, and then continue with that process so that we begin to have longitudinal data as well. So that's kind of the high level piece of it. But I don't know if Amy or Mike, you want to speak to any of that.
I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of the training and the staff support that we provide to the faculty on the ground during startup week. That has been kind of always the way that the culture and traditions have been taught from one year to the next, and we still do that. The difference is now it's not one person doing it for two campuses. It's many of us staff people going to the 14 different campuses that we were on. We had a great plan this year. We had our staff rep, as we called them, training for the few weeks preceding the launch of the first startup week. And we had some doubling up so our newer staff could follow along with a more experienced staff person to go to campus and provide the training to the faculty on the ground before the participants arrived and get them up to speed. We also were, we had a headquarters staffing model, like a triage hotline for the campuses whenever they ran into an obstacle, and there are always obstacles. We could help walk them through that, coach them through that so that they were handling participant behavior, faculty friction, other things in alignment with our training and alignment with our expectations. So same as always, just more.
And at least what has been comforting from all the evaluation data that we've seen in terms of the exit data from our participants, from our faculty, it all looks the same as it ever was, which, given all the growth that we've experienced, is a really comforting thing, I think, for those of us on the board and the staff. I'll ask Scott Pace's question. We are, for the first time, truly SSP International, having operated a campus at University of Guelph in Ontario, Canada this year. So, question, rules on foreign students and numbers from any one country. And I know that actually was a thing, and that campus had far more Canadians, and so it was actually probably a more geographically diverse campus by country of origin than we've ever operated before. Frank, you want to talk a little bit about Guelph and how we made it all work? And what we learned from it and how we feel about operating outside the US.
Yeah, it was a big lift to, number one, work out all the logistics, the legal aspect of employment and working abroad and taxes, and we managed to, really kind of get a handle on that, understand it, and I think that positions us well for additional expansion in Canada going forward. But to answer your question, that when we approached Guelph, because they are supported through the Canadian government, funded in part by the Canadian government, they have a mandate to have a majority Canadian citizens at their campus. And so we didn't have a quota of any kind that was a requirement, but we did agree that we would strive to place as many Canadians on that campus as we possibly could. Amy, below, it was about 50%.
Yeah, that's right.
And
we
then the
also
rest were,
maintained our normal 6 out of 36 proportion of other international from
Right.
countries outside of the US and Canada. There were 6 who came from elsewhere outside of North America. And then the rest of the 30 were about half and half US and Canadian.
I'll share from my perspective that we happened, and it was just by coincidence, one of our board members' daughter was an American who attended the Guelph campus, and she had a fantastic SSP experience. And I've just heard nothing but glowing things back from her. So I think part of what we saw is we can bring together an international community on a much larger scale than we've ever actually attempted in the United States. And it's still SSP. And it built the community and the learning and the science that's why we're all here. I'm going to move on to Bonnie's question. And Bonnie, it's great to see you, another former board colleague. Bonnie's asking the question, what research scientist, we've never had one of those before. How does this relate to measuring impacts? Can you talk a little bit about what the role of that position is going to be, scope and duties?
Sure. Eric is basically a data analyst. So he'll be working to look at all of the information that's come in through the various pieces of the research that we're conducting, figure out, how we want to parse it, look at it, understand it. It'll be ongoing through the entire probably next 12 months because there's just a tremendous amount of information that was gathered. But so his role is to be the boots on the ground doing the vast majority of that work.
Looking forward to seeing the fruits of his and Rashine's labors when we gather as a board next month. And Ed's comments certainly validate that. I thank you, Dominique, for your question. Dominique asks in the chat, what skills do past participants say help them most during the program?
Sorry, what was that, Mike? You were cutting out.
What skills do past participants say help them most during the program?
Mike Manzella.
Yeah, I can do that. So one of our favorite questions on the exit survey effectively asks, like, what was your favorite part of the program? Which is like, what is the most meaningful? What is the most memorable part? And for most campuses, it's about 50% the people that I've met or like learning how
I was gonna guess that without knowing the answer.
It's for those of you that have gone through the program and made friends for life, that's not unexpected, but the rest of it is learning how to be away from home, learning how to do that pre-college experience. It's usually about 30-40% the science. And depending on the kid, will depend on where they grow the most. And I always, as the VP of Academic Affairs, I should always focus on the academics, but the kids are going to grow in the most unexpected ways. And I think any of that is going to be highly memorable for them.
It feels like one more thing that really has not changed since the 40-something years since I went to SSP. I think I've gone through everything in the chat. Does anybody have anything that they want to either dump into the chat at the last minute or just chime in? Oh, YJ's got her kids.
I have a question I'd like to ask. Could you jump back
Please,
to
Steve.
the question of Canada that was raised a couple of moments ago? Was there any discussion with the Canadians about whether their view of the number of Canadian students that need to be enrolled on their campus could be credited to Canadian students enrolled on U.S. campuses? So they're getting as much mileage out of it that way, and the intermixture of kids from different places.
Sure. No, I think they're open to discussions on a number of fronts around that. I think, part of it was trying to get our foot in the door, work, and have a successful year, which I think we did. And they were a really great campus to work with. I think from all fronts, when we start a new campus, we we need cooperation from the administration, typically from the facilities and conference services department, and from the faculty. And it's often hard to get all three of those at the same time. There's usually some wrinkle in there somewhere on some campus. But I have to say that Guelph, seemed to be really collaborative on all three of those fronts. And so next year we'll have deeper discussions. Well, this year for next year, we're already kind of engaged in those discussions with them. I think one of the interesting things to me was that they did want to focus on Canada citizens when in fact they may be better off from a recruiting standpoint having non-Canada citizens in the program experiencing their campus. So that's an argument that we could use to help sell them on that.
I do feel compelled to at least note that part of why this arrangement happened is we happen to have a board member who's Clint Chappell, who happened to be an alum of Guelph, got his PhD at Guelph as well. And he helped provide some connections and support and door opening, which ultimately led to what feels like it could be a very productive relationship, given all the things Frank described on what that's meant from an administrative perspective. And as Delphin has noted in the chat, that also has provided us an avenue to have some people who had visa problems being able to get into the US to be able to still be able to attend SSP, given that they weren't able to get into Canada at a time that they weren't able to get a visa into the United States. And so that too is a helpful plus for us. Dear 70s people, what part of the SSP experience would you like to preserve in spite of AI threatening traditional education processes? Wow. Ed, what would you say about that, Ed? I'm calling Professor Bershinger.
I just put my response in the chat. Cell phone free late night conversations. That it's so important that the human connection. I think that is the thing that all of us will remember and treasure for our entire lives. And I'm alarmed every time I pick up a newspaper and read how high school students are glued to their mobile devices and become very anxious when they're asked to remove them. So keep fighting the good fight.
It was a very isolating, in a very constructive way, experience for me. That, you know, I wasn't talking. I was 16 years old. I wasn't talking to my parents. I wasn't talking to my friends. I was just doing SSP for 6 whole weeks, and really what was going on in the outside world was, I had no idea. There was no internet. There was no, I mean, it really was a completely immersive experience in a way that honestly, I probably have never experienced in any other way. That was part of the awesome. Glass plates. I still have my glass plate, Adam, I will tell you. It's in the bookshelf, as you can see behind me. So yes, there's a reason why we don't do that technology anymore, but yes, it was fun in its own way and special, but we don't need to do that again. And Richard, yes, facing a challenge beyond my understanding, yes, that we still try to endeavor to do that today, though. That's not an experience that's gone away as part of SSP. Henry, do you want to say something? It looks like are you taking off your headphones? You're done. But okay, I was commenting on Henry Lickstein, who's another of my predecessor board chairs who will be joining us in San Francisco. This has been fun. For those of you who I will see in San Francisco, I deeply look forward to seeing you there in just a very small number of weeks. For the rest of you, we really appreciate your engagement in this session and your questions, and the fact that we all get to do this together at least once a year. Please go to your local sessions if we wash up on your shores, and we will wash up on many of your shores over the upcoming year. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
We're always here to answer your questions and engage.